Hey there, witches, and welcome to my newest video. I'm calling this one How to Witch 101. My name is Rian Lockard, and I'm the head witch at Moonstone Witchery. You can find me on Instagram at moonstone_witchery or over on my website at moonstonewitchery.com. And I am on Facebook. I have a Facebook group. It's lots of fun. So if you are interested in like a little tight-knit community of fellow witches talking about spiritual goodness, come and find us over there. Just type Moonstone Witchery into the search bar. We are the one with the pretty witch with the yellow background on the banner. Okay, that's enough. Let's get started. Oh, and because this is YouTube, I'm supposed to be like, please like and subscribe or whatever, whatever that might be. Okay, blah. All of that technical stuff out of the way. I wanted to make a video because I get asked the same question a lot on my Instagram, and I don't unfortunately have a ton of time to answer that question. So here we are. I'm hoping that this is a helpful resource. The question that I get asked frequently by baby witches is, how do I begin? Like, where do I go to start my witchcraft journey? I have recorded some podcast episodes about this. So really one of the first places I might direct a baby witch to is my podcast, and you can search for that over on Spotify. It's just like everything else. It's called Moonstone Witchery over there too. On my podcast, I try to have a lot of episodes that offer support and learning to people who are new to the path of witchcraft or just stepping onto that path. So it's a nice resource, hopefully, for any of you trying to get started. But if you respond better, if you do better with YouTube videos, I thought I would put something out there so that everybody can feel like they have an understanding of just how to begin or what to do. So if you've watched my other video that's called Signs That You're a Witch, and you're like, okay, I check all those boxes, now what? This is hopefully a follow-up that provides you with that now what energy. So you're a witch. You've decided, you've understood it, you've owned it to a degree. Now what do we do? How do we get better at witchcraft? Lots of things, okay? The first thing I want you to know is that accepting the title of witch, even just within yourself, like on that interpersonal level, is really one of the most significant first steps you can take, because owning the word witch requires a level of self-work that you must be ready for in order to take on the practice and take on the title. The title of witch is gender neutral. I talk about this a lot. Maybe I'll make a second video on this, but there's no specific criteria you really need to have to be a witch, except for that inner calling and that inner knowing that witchcraft and witchwork resonates for you. So if that's part of your experience, then welcome, you're already like initiated into witchcraft. Now that's a very specific word. Certain witchcraft traditions, like Wicca, for example, require initiation rites, and they have a very specifically outlined series of rituals and requirements that are needed in order for you to be able to own and claim the title of Wicca or Wiccan practitioner. An eclectic witch, which is how I identify, is somebody who has gathered information from multiple sources, even like YouTube, but YouTube, books, various learning, mentorship, taking programs and courses, stuff like that. Those practices, an eclectic witch doesn't necessarily have to go through any kind of initiation process. An eclectic witch, however, might want to initiate herself. As with everything in witchwork, the most important thing about being a witch, honestly, is understanding what intention is and how to utilize intention in all of your practices and in everything you do. So intention, I'll define it for you pretty loosely, but hopefully it's helpful. Intention is really just concentrated goals. It's like, I have a certain outcome that I wish to achieve, whether it be for me or for somebody else. And I'm going to utilize skills, tools, and external things to me in order to signal to the universe, this is the energy and this is how I want the energy to shift. And we do that by infusing our tools with our intention. So we'll hold a candle, for example, in our hands, and we'll use our hands to put all of that concentrated energy, that outcome, that goal that we're looking for, that energy shift that we want to have manifest, we'll infuse it into the object that we're doing our sacred work with. In so doing, we're indicating to the universe, like, this object represents this intention coming to fruition, which is why we use candles a lot to create those changes in our lives, because candles are really cool in so much as they take something tangible and physical, and as they burn, the candle melts away. And if you've told the candle what it's going to do and what it's going to be about, that intention that you've put into the candle turns into energy. And then that energy gets absorbed by the infinite energy realm of all that is, and it goes out and it shapes the energy field around you. It literally is like, it's like entering commands. If any of you guys are like old like me and remember what this is like, it's like entering commands into your computer to tell a computer program how it's going to run and what it's going to do. We're kind of just directing the computer program of reality into creating a new set of circumstances for ourselves. So back on track. To get started in witchcraft, to start walking that path as a baby or new witch, I want you to start to become comfortable with the word witch. The word witch belongs to you. If you are called to witch work, and being called means specifically like I'm interested in this, like something within spiritual practices really resonates with me. I've always been drawn to tarot cards. I've always been drawn to like past lives. I've like really been into paranormal or psychic experiences. I'm an empath and I'm able to read people and the spaces around me, etc., etc., etc. If all of those things resonate for you and all of those things are part of who you are, welcome. You've been called to witchcraft, perhaps. And so if the practice of witchcraft is appealing to you, if the concept of like using tools, like natural tools and elemental tools and like candles and all this stuff, if the practice of using those tools to shift your world is appealing to you, then I believe that you've been summoned to the path of witchcraft. One of the hardest things, honestly, about having a calling or having a summoning like that is to accept it and to follow it, right? And so being aware that you're into this stuff and like therefore wanting to do something about that interest that you have is really step one. Knowing that you have an interest, knowing that it's something you want to explore, that's all really important, significant, and helpful. Along with that, I want you to start to become comfortable with the title witch or the word witchcraft. I have had clients and students, actually, I used to teach before pre-COVID, I used to teach Witchcraft Academy, and this was in-person classes about witchcraft. One of my students said, I love what you're doing, and it's also like spiritual and nice and beautiful, but why do you have to use the word witch? It's so like off-putting and ugh. And I was like, that vibe, that is exactly why I use the word witch, because I am out here trying to dismantle all these like effed up and wrong interpretations and understandings about the word witch. I'm in like this radical journey with like the world, and please join me on this path of reclaiming the word witch and taking away all the bad vibes it's got, like that have been imposed by like monotheism and the patriarchy. And I'm all about like, let's embrace the word witch. Let's like own it. Let's use it. Let's like cultivate it. Let's like empower others to know of their own inherent witchiness, because being a witch, it simply means like I am aware of my inner power and I'm going to use it to change my life. What could ever be bad about that? So number one, claim the word witch. If you can claim the word witch, you are ready to practice as a witch. So do some self-work on that. Ask yourself, like, what's hard about this word for me, if anything? The next thing I want you to do is to systemically go through and dismantle your own fears around witch work. Because as you start to practice, so many fears come up for baby witches. Like, what if I do it wrong? What if I don't know how to do it? What if I like blah, 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 blah. Like all these what ifs come into your mind. I had one client that she was so excited and so empowered. I was teaching, I do this offering called Psychic School, where I help intuitives harness and grow into their intuitive giftedness and know how to like get better as readers and channels. And this one client I had, she was starting to work with tarot cards. She had bought herself a deck. She was ready to go. She had like done all her stuff to it. And then she started reading the book, and the book was like literally the book goes, really, you need to like, I forget the specifics, but it was something like, really, you need to sleep with your cards under your pillow for 3 nights. And then you must always wrap them in a certain fabric. And I know about wrapping tarot in silk, and it wasn't that. And then she was like, you have to do this, you have to do that, and blah, 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 before you can use these cards. So, of course, she called me on her next call and was like, I was so ready, but now I'm so scared that I'm doing everything wrong. And I was like, listen, I want to remind you of your power, and I'm talking to all of you. If you're a witch, you are innately a powerful creature. Innately, like it belongs to you. Like power is already yours. All you've done is realize that you have it. And now you're willing to say, oh, turns out I'm powerful. If you are powerful, you don't have to go ahead and listen to somebody else's rules about how to work with your magical tools. If they're your tools, they're yours. So the way that you choose to consecrate or get right with those tools is up to you, and there's no wrong way of doing it. So take ownership and dismantle your fears, because as you start to walk through, you're going to realize, like, I might have this immense fear of doing it wrong. Now, if you're not doing spells that are like above your pay grade, which no one's going to start with something like that, or hopefully, I don't want to say no one, because that's absolutely inaccurate. I'd like you to start with a certain set of spells and practices, and I'll tell you about those in a second. But in general, as long as you're kind of in your own lane, like, you can't do it wrong. You're just setting your own intention. You're hopefully setting just positive intentions at the jump and in the beginning, and you're gonna just slowly start to do things and accumulate skills and accumulate strength and accumulate trust and confidence, and you're going to start to understand yourself in your own inherent witchy vibration. As you do that, fears are going to come up. Fears of doing things wrong, like we just covered. Fears of inviting in energies that you don't want to invite in. Just all kinds of fears that got programmed into our minds about what witchiness is, what spell work is, etc. And there are a lot of fears that we have around being a witch, because we live in a predominantly monotheistic, Christian biased culture, and that shit is like chock-block full of fear programming. So don't be surprised if you begin to walk your path of witchiness and you start to realize, oh my God, I'm totally freaked out. But step 2 here was dismantle your fears. So ask yourself, do I agree with this fear? Like, do I actually think that if I don't sleep with my deck under my pillow, that it won't work for me? And if you do, put your deck under your pillow. But if that innately feels wrong to you, or somehow doesn't feel like you need to do that, I want you to start to practice trusting yourself and your inner knowing, because part of being a witch is using your third eye to perceive the energy around you and to trust what you perceive. Okay? Like, there's knowing that you're perceiving, and then there's believing what you're perceiving. And those are 2 separate things, and that can be kind of hard to discern the difference between. But once you start to pay attention to your own inner voice, you're going to start to be able to find that level of discernment. Okay? So you'll dismantle your fears as they arise, either through doing research or joining spiritual groups and asking other people about the fears that you have, or really just having like some really honest inner dialogue with yourself. Like, is this something I'm actually afraid of, or is this something that's been programmed into me to be afraid of? And that's a big question that'll change your life as well. The next thing I want you to do when you start practicing witch work is to just begin on yourself. I want you to be only starting with cleansing and protecting magic and on yourself. Cleansing, protecting, and healing is fine too. But I want the target of all your spells at first to be you. Because this way, if there's bounce back or kickback or whatever that whole thing is, or if you're doing it wrong, or your intention isn't exactly like set with clarity and purpose, it's only going to affect and impact you. We shouldn't be experimenting really on others, right? This is why, like, doctors don't experiment on like critically ill patients when they're in medical training, you know what I mean? Or why like even tattoo artists like start out by like tattooing like banana peels and like pork skin and all kinds of other weird stuff. The point is, you're not experimenting on others. You're starting with the work on yourself. And that's significant too, because you are your own best judge of how your spells have landed, how your work has like set in. You are going to be highly aware of whether something's working or if it needs tweaking. And so that leads me to my next thing, which is practice witchcraft. See, so many people are like, I'm a baby witch, but I don't know what to do. What should I read? What should I watch? Where should I go? How do I learn? And I want to be like, read and learn the bare minimum, because it's all fundamentally similar. But then you must begin to practice. I want you to make witchiness part of your innate self. I want like witch-tastic energy all around you at all times. I want you to always be in your witchy vibe, right? Because if that's the case, then you're always kind of low-key practicing. You can even be like, all right, I'm going to visualize myself getting a good parking spot at the store, and then like put that intention, concentrate it out, throw it out in front of you, and watch as you get that parking spot. These kinds of things are totally witchy and they totally count. So start practicing and practice. Just do it all the time. It doesn't have to be some big, huge, phenomenal ritual that is timed along with the constellations and the moon. Yes, there are certain times when you want to do spells like that. Yes, those are powerful moments. Yes, those are powerful spells. But every single thing that you're doing doesn't have to be on that level, okay? The next thing I want you to do is to come out of the witchy broom closet, right? Like I want you to start to, so first there's like owning the word witch just within your inner knowing, like just saying like, this word is me, I am this word. And by the way, a word can be us and we can also be many other words. It doesn't ever have to just be like, this is the one word that defines me and that's it. You know, you can like seriously like have multiple words that apply to you. But once you own the word witch with yourself and do that inner work, I want you to start to like see how you feel putting it out there to others. There's a lot of empowerment around the concept of coming out, because what we're doing is we're taking something that we have as a secret within ourselves and we're putting it out into the light, and we're saying, this is me, take me or leave me, or this is me and I need everyone to know and understand that this is me, or this is me and there's power in me claiming and owning this word for myself, but also sharing that this is part of my experience with others. So I want you to practice coming out of the witchy broom closet. This doesn't mean you got to call up like your Catholic grandmom on the phone and be like, yo, guess what? Like, I'm going to hell tomorrow. Like, you don't have to do that. That's not like the level I'm asking you to go to. If you have people in your life that you know will be highly triggered out or affected by you coming out of the broom closet, you don't need to inform those people right away. But do you have a few trusted friends or relatives, or do you have like a space on the internet where it would be empowering for you to just be like, I realized I'm a witch and I'm gonna own it today? Because once you've come out about it, there's so much that shifts around you that allows you to access it even more on an even deeper level. Coming out about something really, like once we come out to ourselves inside, our inner world begins to shift dramatically. But once we come out externally to ourselves, our external world begins to shift even more dramatically, because people start to see us in a different way and they know how to frame the way that they're seeing us, and they want to incorporate that new title or label into how they view us. This is empowering and positive. And if it turns out it's not empowering or positive to the people who you're coming out to, maybe those aren't really your people. Last thing I want you to do, two last things I want you to do. I want you to continue learning, but I want you to like continue learning while you're doing. I don't want you to feel like you have to like absorb all the information before you can do anything. The best way to learn anything is to start to do it. So keep that in your mind and give yourself permission, or if you need permission, here's a permission slip from like a professional witch. Start practicing, just do it. You can't mess this up too badly, I promise. But as you're practicing, learn. Buy some books that resonate with the things that you're finding out you're interested in. There's books on sigils, there's books on root work, there's books on herbs, there's books on green witchcraft, there's books on like Wicca, there's books on everything. Like there's all kinds of books, but you're not going to know which books you're interested in until you start to practice and figure out which things kind of go with you. So you're going to learn, and then really after that, as you implement your learning, try your best to trust the work that you're doing. Try your best to figure out that you're allowed to be in this as a journey. You don't have to start at perfect. Refer to the tarot for that information, because it's like in the major arcana, what we start with is the Fool. The Fool, I don't like the phrase. I want to call him like the novice, because he starts on a journey and he's so like bright-eyed and like inspired and like he's optimistic and he's got this like great life perspective, and he's starting off on his journey willing, eyes open, heart open, everything's beautiful. And that's because he's willing to say, I'm into this journey. I don't know where it's going to take me. I don't know anything about it, but I want to learn. And that's the vibration I want you to be at with your own practice and with your own beginning. So you're going to trust the work, trust what you find. Trust your learning, trust your process. And really, I want you fundamentally to trust your spell work. I don't want you to like load up all your energy field with self-doubt, because there is enough self-doubt going around. There is enough doubt from others in us going around. We don't need to contribute to the doubt energy. We're working on empowerment and our empowered energy and being like, yeah, that's right. I'm the witch. I'm going to do the work. I'm going to trust it radically. Set it and forget it. I got this. And I want you to be your biggest cheerleader like that, because that's the energy of a witch. That's the energy of success. That's the energy of empowerment. And you can trust yourself without also making yourself infallible. Like, you can trust yourself and let there be room for growth and for you to go, oh, that didn't quite do what I thought it was going to do. Let me analyze why. Oh, I can understand it. Next time I'll do this. But still, having that trust in yourself only serves to lift you up and to expand your giftedness. So work on that. Trusting yourself can be really challenging, but it's one of the most fundamental skills there are for successful witchcraft. I hope this has been a helpful video. I hope that you can watch this and get a sense of where to begin and what self-work, inner work to do. Like I always say, witch work is self-work, because as we progress on our path of witchery, what happens is we begin to uncover the areas within ourselves that could use a little support, that could use a little healing, that could use a little self-dialoguing, that we have to overcome in order to get even higher on our next level of the path of witchcraft. So please go ahead, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Hit me up with a like on my videos so that I'm like inspired to do more. Share this video with others if you found it helpful, and drop me a comment and let me know what other videos you'd like to see more of, because I am here to serve and I want to be as helpful as possible. So if you can let me know what you'd like to see, then I can create that content for you. Thank you for watching. Have a beautiful day.